That's annoying. That's an annoying thing about men is that they're hot, but they're awful.
But what happens if they're hot and not awful?
What happens if they're awful and not hot?
Well, then we just ignore them.
Well, then we ignore them. Then they go on Twitter.com or they buy Twitter.com and rename it to something terrible like X.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, that was super topical. I love it.
That's so topical. Oh my god, what is he talking
humor.
about? There's no politics in Star Wars, so we don't need to talk about that.
Though I have to say in my life.
I have to say, what's his name from HBO? John Oliver. He did a great Elon Musk.
He did an amazing episode about he who should not be named. Oh, I need to get to. I can actually look at the chat because we're not recording a podcast, and I don't have to focus on shit.
Hi, Aaron. Too. Oh wow, people. Wow, 20 people have already joined. Holy crap! I'm feeling. I'm not shy at all now.
When you are a Star Wars fan, the Star Wars Holiday Special should be experienced. It's part of, I feel like it's a rite of passage in the fandom, but it should not be experienced alone or sober. So this is a good place to be.
Correct. And speaking of which, y'all, if you look in the description of this video, I will also put the link of said video right here. You can watch the exact same show we're gonna watch together, and I'm trying to be more respectful about it, and I'll explain why as we go in through the show. But I got my I feel like moonshine's appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, the one time I drank moonshine, I ended up in the hospital, so I do think that is appropriate to drink.
Yeah, love the festival.
Not with alcohol poisoning. I injured myself, but
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Alan. Yeah. So I'm excited that we're doing this. I'm also generally excited for the holiday season. I don't know why. I never am. Hello, 10/10 must watch. I feel like it's a must watch now. I feel like it's there.
I feel like we've done this a couple of times now, and I'm dead inside, and it can't hurt me. So
I love that. I love that this, the thing we're going to watch has nice copy in the title. Like, that's it.
Look, you have to specify, because this shit is old. So.
Yeah. Is it odd that CGI Luke looks more real life than...
Oh, is this a version with commercials or not?
No commercials.
Oh, dang it.
It is opening, because I've already got it queued up, because I'm prepared like that. I'm a professional.
Oh, wow.
It is opening with the network informing us which shows we will not be seeing tonight, because this shit show is on instead.
And that's going to be my first factoid. So once again, y'all, I'll keep putting the link in the chat so people can grab it. But if you do not have a paid YouTube account, you're going to want to queue that up right now. And
right meow.
Because there may be a commercial that starts at the very beginning that'll fuck up the watch along. But once you get past the commercial, get down to those zeros and hit pause, and I'll do a full countdown and play together. But before we do that, Steph, we should do an intro.
We should do an intro. You're correct about that. Thank you so much. That was a good toss. There, Heather. Well done. Yeah, go ahead. Try not to say something about the fact that I just said toss.
When will be Arthur come back to Star Wars? I need to see her in a Booker's. Oh.
Amazing news! Amazing news! Wonderful news for you.
Is she still alive?
No, B. Arthur's in a much better place in this plane of existence.
She is singing at the Desert Planet Tavern in the sky. Anyway, hey everybody, welcome to
so dark.
welcome to the revival of Divas Unleashed. We're bringing the show back to life with our third annual watch along of the Star Wars Holiday Special. We continue to do this to ourselves because the only way that we can find joy in this life anymore is to inflict the Holiday Special on others. And that's why we have friends here with us today. We are also, Dark Side Divas and Marvelous Divas are our podcasts. My name is Stephanie. I am the woman half of our shows.
Wow. And everybody, That's enough for me. Hey everybody, I'm Chris. I am that homo. Now it seems like a nice time to run for Senate sexual. And everybody, maybe I could help you.
I am so proud to know you right now.
I'm so horrified to know you right now.
I'm
Okay,
ambivalent to know you right now.
Look, I feel like the Congress building's made for fucking. I don't know what the big deal is. Anyway.
Yeah, fucking the American people. What?
Hey!
Exactly. Hey, political
There
humor.
it is.
All right.
There's no politics in Star Wars, though. Stop it.
We are joined by other people. And if you're not already familiar, I have a different podcast that Steph is loosely involved with. She is the villain of the podcast.
Loosely is how I'm involved with many things. Wait.
There is no good place to go, so we're gonna back away slowly.
Go
from
ahead and
that.
own that. Continue.
But I do have a different podcast. It's called For Light and Dice. It is an amazing, in my opinion, one of the greatest tabletop role-playing podcasts ever made. And it is inspired by Star Wars: The High Republic. But also, some of the folks here they also have a lot of other projects because they've been in the fandom for a long time, just like we have, and they have cool stuff. And then there's whatever Charles is doing. So with that said...
There it is. There it is. We got the insult in.
See, I waited a whole 2 minutes.
That took minutes.
You waited 6
Heather.
minutes and 30
minutes.
seconds.
That's the
almost
longest
how
Chris has
long
ever
it is,
lasted.
Like with Wookiee dialogue.
Colton,
like what-
Colton, you can stay.
All right, Hope, who are you? What do you do? Why are you so amazing? I know that answer, but Hope, who are you?
I'm Hope. I'm also the Christmas string gear today. Because this bitch is 3 sizes too big and it was half off. So I decided to be the Christmas string gear.
That
I
is
have been told I
amazing.
must sing the string gear song upon my arrival. So for anybody who likes string gear, which is a Star Wars villain, what was the song? Dringer, dringer, dringer. I'm made out of plants. If you come to my station, I'll smash you like an ant.
There you go.
Dringer, dringer, dringer. We are hard to beat. If you come up after me, I'll turn you into meat.
Meat. Love it.
Anyway, hi.
Holiday meat.
I'm Hope Molinax. I am on For Light and Dice with Chris. I don't know what the hell you want me to talk about.
Oh, what else do you do? That's not the only thing you do.
You do other things. You do many
yes,
things.
I do. So I am an entertainment writer by trade. I work for Collider, and I'm the site expert for Star Wars at Dark Side of the Force. And I have a podcast called J Guys and Jedi. And so I'm just kind of all around the internet right now. But for Light and Dice, I really am proud of this project. I play Gaz, and she is a Gazo operative, and she's the mom friend of the group. And yeah, and my pronouns are she, her. So, hello.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh, and I unironically love the holiday special.
I know
Unironically,
that's a
I love it.
first for our show is somebody that likes this stuff. But I think I may like it too. But I'll explain that as we go through the torture.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I am. I like the ideas, but the execution.
Yeah. Colton, who are you?
Hello.
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 Hello. I am. What was that? Probably.
Microphone's over here, honey.
Yes. Hi.
This is the authentic Colton experience. Don't worry.
It is. They're always surprised by the intro.
My name is Colton Mason. I am a lit student and a player on For Light and Dice. And it's great. I do things. Currently, my other internet presence is I'm on a weekly miniature painting stream over at We Are Nerdsmith on Twitch.
Nice.
And I also am part of a secret third thing that will be revealed later at a convenient time.
Whoa.
Listen, let me tell you about Colton's thing. Because it's brand new and it's wonderful. It's very just chill. And it's just watching them paint minifigs and talking about stuff. And it's very chill. It's wonderful. Cannot recommend it enough. I like to do crafts with them. It's so good. Go check it out.
What was it called again?
The stream is called Paint of Heart. And the Twitch channel is We Are Nerdsmith. I'll type it out.
Nice. Awesome.
Don't mind me. Carry on.
All right.
Just
And
searching
last
that
but
up right
not
now.
least, maybe Charles. Who are you? What do you do?
Who am
I only talk
What
about
do
you
I
every
do?
other podcast anyway.
I am a presence. I am a presence that exists. No. Hi, my name is Charles. My pronouns are he, him. I play Win, the Duros pilot, on For Light and Dice. I am also a co-podcaster on the show Gold Squadron Gaze, which every single person in this call has guested on multiple episodes of that show. I do some other things that I'm not prepared to talk about yet, but I will be prepared to talk about soon. And additionally, listeners might remember me for such appearances as the chat from last year, where I watched the holiday special with everyone else. And my feelings about the holiday special, I came back, despite the fact that the holiday special's mere existence wants me to take tweezers and pluck out my eardrums so I never have to listen to the Wookiees sing ever again. But it doesn't matter, because I will hear it in my brain from now until the day that I finally shuffle off this mortal coil, or someone puts me in a little orb and keeps me alive in a torturous existence to be dungeon loot for some hapless party.
You have really thought this out.
I made that all up as it went along.
Nice.
Nice.
This is how Chris is paying us, though.
Can we do it? Not yet.
Who is Eric? Who is Eric?
Look how hot he is.
Ugh.
Like, my God.
I hear he's got an amazing voice too.
He does.
He seems very knowledgeable about infrastructure projects.
So knowledgeable.
I get that
vibe. He was also featured on For Light and Dice. He's the official voice of the Galactic News Network, and that's going to go well in the future episodes, I assume. So anyway,
it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. So y'all, I have been putting the link multiple times in the chat. For the thing that we are going to watch along. I'm even going to go the extra mile and share my screen just very briefly, just because I don't want us to get arrested or thrown off. But yeah, you're going to want to go look for this video. And, I'll give everybody 2 minutes to get queued up. If you are on a free YouTube, you may have to watch a commercial first. So let that commercial run, move past it, and then zero out your video and hit pause, and we'll do a countdown together. And when I'll do 3, 2, 1, play, everybody plays. I hope that was
Do you
clear.
need to zero yours out? Because mine's zeroed out and I have a black screen, not an Incredible Hulk.
Oh, mine's at 3 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, we need
Okay,
to
so then
open up
fix
a
it.
separate tab for us. Or are we
You know
watching
what?
here?
I will fix it.
Fix your
Now,
face.
that's our first piece of trivia for tonight. Because here's the thing: this Hollywood special, holiday special, was made in 1978. And sci-fi fantasy is super fucking nerdy. With the exception of Star Wars, nobody likes it. So shows like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, The Incredible Hulk, Wonder Woman, that shit was on Friday nights because, and this is an actual quote from an ABC News executive, only nerds stay home on Friday night, and that's when we'll play the nerd stuff.
Look, just because he's
Were they
right doesn't mean
wrong?
he needs to say that shit out
And
loud.
that's that was kind of my point. Was like, so
And fuck you, man. He's
I know,
probably
but that's-
dead by now. It's okay.
he probably is.
That makes it better.
No Incredible Hulk
45 years
tonight.
ago. So,
So here's the thing. Friday nights used to be a dead night for television in general. Even back in the day when there were only 3 channels, maybe 4 or 5 if you were in the LA area. And for this, with some exceptions, and that was like major broadcast events. And the Star Wars Holiday Special was a major broadcast event. CBS poured the most money into marketing this show. So despite the fact that George Lucas asked for multiple private meetings where he begged CBS not to air it,
stop telling people this is happening. Oh my god.
They basically said, no, we've spent it, we've cashed the checks. The money's out of our bank. We're gonna air it at this point. So The
I mean,
special
technically,
is
natural disasters are also events.
true.
Like,
You bring up a good point. This special is not safe for work. There is VR porn in the show.
Okay, but
Well-
how? Come on, it's not explicit. It's just Diane Carroll writhing in like a weird VR set and an elderly Wookiee getting
I
a
find
little
you
too comfortable. But
adorable.
like,
I
there's
find you
no.
adorable.
I find you adorable. There's
Oh,
no.
God.
There's no boobs. Okay, it's okay.
I think
There's
that's
no
boobs.
worse than if it was just boobs. Like, if boobs just appeared on screen, I think it would just, like... I think that would still be less explicit.
They like the net. This did air on network TV. Like it's
It did.
It's okay. It's not entirely NSFW. You're fine. Put on some headphones though, because maybe
We
not
are
everybody
not
needs
safe
to hear
work.
this.
Okay, y'all.
by the way, Colton, in case you didn't know, so network TV back in the day, you had like channels.
Oh,
Now, I know
God
you're
damn.
in college, so I feel like I have to explain this. Back in the day, you had like channels, and you would flip between them, kind of like moving between streaming services, but they were constantly playing something all the time. I know this is a difficult concept to wrap your young brain around.
Yeah, we probably should get it out of the way right now. Star Wars Episode 1 is older than me, so...
Are you kidding me?
This feels illegal. I don't.
No, yeah. So,
Wow.
Fun
Okay.
fact about me.
Are we queued up, ready to go, y'all? This is last chance to get out.
I'm queued up, but I'm not
Don't
ready.
drink carbonated beverages on
Are
the
we
live.
watching it
God.
like on our own screens or
Yes.
through your
Yeah, you're watching it on
screen?
your own screens. I've been putting the link is in the description of the YouTube video, and also I'll put it in.
Because if we stream it over here, YouTube may take offense to that.
Yeah, and I'll put it in private chat too, so you can just. Oh, you got it. Okay. So 30 seconds, y'all. We'll do this. Some quick facts. Most people have one television in their home. This is a show designed for the whole family. This was initially imagined by George Lucas to be a 1-hour adventure show that would take its place among the likes of the Charlie Brown Christmas Story, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, the Bing Cosby, David Bowie holiday special. Like,
I mean, he wasn't wrong. It's definitely infamous.
and most
In that
importantly, I
lineup.
think this is going to be a really important part. He wanted to make Life Day an actual holiday.
Well,
Of
he
course he did.
succeeded in one thing, and that was merchandising the shit out of Life Day.
Correct. All
I
right,
just
y'all.
know that every time I go to the parks, my favorite coffee mug, because it's the biggest, is a Life Day coffee mug.
Nice.
Nice. All right. We're gonna do a countdown. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. And here we go.
No Incredible Hulk tonight.
Boo!
Or Wonder Woman, by the way.
Love the spinning special tube CBS presentation.
Very
Oh,
fancy.
of course this is CBS. Oh, hella recycled footage.
Oh my
Well,
God.
this set that Chewie and Han are in right now is indeed made of cardboard. Confirmed.
Is what?
It's made of completely of cardboard.
Nice.
I always forget, until I see this recycled footage, just how fast the Star Destroyers are actually supposed to be.
How fast are they supposed to be?
Very fast.
Oh. This is my first time seeing the special. I'm so sorry.
Get out.
Now, they could get
It's
away.
late now.
They could get away with the B-roll, like edited out footage and the cardboard set and everything on this, because nobody had seen anything Star Wars since the movie came out. Like, this came out in between,
Oh yeah.
like 1 and 2, right? No, sorry, 4 and 5, right?
Yeah.
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 It
So
actually
people
came
were
out-
hungry.
Oh, go
Oh, I
ahead.
have an ad.
I do too.
This
Oh,
might
I'm
be
gonna-
throwing off some timestamps.
I'll pause.
I'm going to pause. I'm at 122. 122.
I'm also at 122.
Okay, and we're back. I'm at 114.
Okay, well,
I
everybody
have a loose
get at 122. That is annoying, YouTube. What the hell?
Now I'm at
Okay.
122.
I
Okay,
mean,
The Star Wars
U-Block
Holiday
is
Special,
really
title
good
screen.
about that.
All right, I'm gonna do
Yes,
another
go.
countdown.
What
Right.
am I pausing now? What are we doing?
I'm at
Yeah,
122.
122.
Oh my god.
We're all gonna click.
We're trying to stay together. As incoherent as this fucking thing is, we're gonna.
You are way overestimating the accuracy of the side scrolly bar on the YouTube.
All right. We're gonna play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play again.
There we go.
And the announcer, Star Wars Holiday Special.
Love the announcer.
The announcer.
Doesn't he look like Ellen DeGeneres?
No,
He
I
does
don't
look
think
like
he
Ellen
looks like
DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres. I think he looks like a wax
go out.
figurine of
I
Ellen
think Carrie Fisher looks stoned out of her mind.
Carrie
Guys.
Fisher is absolutely stoned out of her mind.
I would
Uh,
have to be.
In an interview, Carrie Fisher says, I'm pulling up notes real quick. When asked, "Were you on drugs while filming this?" and she's like, "I'm sure I was, but I couldn't tell you how many or which ones."
Bless.
By the way, James Earl Jones is the first time he gets credit at all
That's
for
true.
being the voice of Darth Vader. Oh God, Chewbacca's family.
Mala with the
Listen,
dreamy eyes.
My co-podcaster Chris,
His
loves
father,
Mala,
Itchy.
unironically, and like that is his baby.
Look, Mala is totally lovable. It's not her
I like
fault.
Mala.
It is not her fault that she is stuck at home with her father-in-law and her spawn.
Yes.
Lumpy, who is the son, actually
Art Carney.
appears
Diane Carroll.
significantly throughout the Life Day trilogy by Chuck Wendig, going by Waru now because Lumpy is a child's name for children. And he has spent years in an Imperial internment camp and begins bombing the shit out of Imperials.
I love
That's
Star
what
Wars so
happens.
much.
No Anna.
Also, I do have my B. Arthur mug.
Nice.
Oh,
Thematically
wonderful.
appropriate.
General Motors.
Yep.
Fancy.
Who owned? They actually owned a significant portion of multiple entertainment companies. It was a whole thing that they've been involved with since the 1940s. It's kind of
Vertical
crazy.
integration, Lemon.
So what's actually really cool about the artwork here is it is by Ralph McQuarrie, and in my my first point in how the holiday special changed canon, aka Piss Off Charles, is this was the groundwork for Kashyyyk as we know it today.
You mean
When they
Kazook?
were and when they were building Kashyyyk for Revenge of the Sith, The Bad Batch, and all these shows, it was Ralph McQuarrie's artwork for the holiday special that they pulled to build those like kind of sets and to set like to be the inspiration for the movies. So
Okay, but I want a hand-whittled X-Wing. That's what I
Do you know what?
Someone-
Do you know what's
oh.
interesting about this series of Ralph McQuarrie painting drawings? Hope is that one of the initial character models that was based off of Cad Bane came from that artwork series.
yeah, I really like that's one of my like white whales is I just want an art book of Ralph McQuarrie stuff.
That would
Yeah.
be really cool.
I've always found it extremely interesting how hard Legends has had to work to reconcile the Star Wars Holiday Special. Because canon just pretends it didn't happen.
Right.
Legends
Sure.
actually had to treat the events of this special as having happened.
Well,
I love
Disney has
Legends so
canonized it.
much.
This is canon now. So we're about to see 6 minutes and 19 minutes of Wookiee talk. Now, at the time, any movie with captions was considered to be very highbrow and very classy, and most producers and owners of studios thought your average person was too stupid to read, and so they didn't bother putting the captions into anything that was considered to be lowbrow or general.
Also, was there actually anything like a script to be captioned here?
Yes,
Or
there
is
was.
it just almost 7 minutes of fucking Wookiee noises?
There's an actual script somewhere. There's actual dialogue.
Oh,
Okay.
Well,
kinda
I'm
what
sure
happened
it's
was-
riveting.
At
Yeah.
the time, like George Lucas had roughly, I think it was like 10 stories, but
Yeah.
movies. So this was one of the extra stories that he pulled to make this, along with the Boba Fett special as well.
Mhm.
Also, someone tell me when people actually start talking. Not that Wookiees aren't people, but like when
Wookiees are people.
Yes, I've muted my thing because I don't want to hear 10 minutes.
Right. The cat cannot decide if he wants in or he wants out. He has now walked in and out and in and out and in and out.
Let
during
Jonathan
this
come
game.
join us. Hi, Jonathan.
Jonathan. Harker. Oh, very good.
Oh, hello,
I'm
beautiful.
sorry, your cat is named Jonathan
My
Harker.
dad is
Are you
named Jonathan
surprised?
Parker.
Jonathan Parker. That's
Does he
amazing.
say
Jonathan
"whoa" a lot?
This is where I secretly want the kid to just fall.
He
Is
screams
that bad?
out.
Is that bad?
Secretly,
No,
my
no,
ass.
it's not.
It's not
It's not a secret
secretly.
if I say it
And
out
I'm
loud.
having another ad.
Come here, Mr. Harker.
Yep.
Anybody
you
else got
kidding
an
me?
ad right now? I mean,
I
it's a
got
Doctor
you
Who
not.
ad. I'm excited about it.
Oh,
I do
got
not
a-
have an ad.
And we're
Wow,
back. I'm
I
at
got a
6:20.
cashback.
628, 629, 630.
Cool.
I'm going to keep going then because
Just keep going.
Yeah, it's
We'll resync here in a little bit. Yes,
it's-
Mr.
yeah.
Harker, you can sit there.
yeah, this is kind of
Oh.
where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'm like just a few seconds behind you.
Okay.
Same.
Well,
It's fine.
I know
It-
we're gonna
it-
miss all
coherence.
these riveting moments together.
Yeah.
Oh God, the kid's voice! I can't.
But I kind of love it.
Again,
I
in
hate
canon,
it.
in canon, this kid becomes an armed insurgent against the Empire.
And I can see
love that.
why.
I support it.
Because they came in and fucked up his toys and harassed him.
And then his
yeah.
planet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
I actually like, as a theater kid though, I kind of appreciate like the mime aspect of it because they are telling a story that you can follow through their body and noises, and I do kind of appreciate that like on a theater kid level.
Look,
So
I
who-
have.
Who is
Y'all,
playing these
y'all.
Wookiees?
Y'all, I'm going to interrupt this entire thing for just a second.
Okay.
I tried to click through an ad, and I don't know what happened. I have no rhyme or reason for how or why. But my YouTube switched over to Tropic Thunder, smack in the middle of the Al Pacino Bust a Nut ad. And so it's just booty, 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 booty on the screen. And I had a bit of a gummy right before we started tonight. And so I'm watching this going, man, what happened to the
Listen.
Wookiee costumes?
I see
Oh,
you,
wait.
admin. Just so you know, I do have Firefox, and my U-block is acting great. Just saying.
Just let me know the timestamp because I got to start over because that was
8,
bust a nut.
8:15, 8:16, 8:17, 8:18. We're starting.
You don't need
the
to keep
goddamn-
counting. It's cool.
Okay.
It's seconds. You know, I get
Okay.
it.
What are the costumes made from? It's made from hair, synthetic hair though. Chewie's costume is partially made of real hair and synthetic hair, and was a lot more detailed, a lot higher quality. That's why he looks a lot better than everybody else.
That's the thing is when Chewie gets on the screen too, you can tell who had a costume budget and
Absolutely.
who combed out some shag carpets and slapped them on some people who are suffering in those costumes. By the way,
Okay,
Suffering.
I have to show this because we skipped. If you listen to our podcast episode, we skipped over this completely, so we didn't get to talk about this very much.
That's
Steph,
probably for the best.
do you know who designed these costumes? Along with the costume of the wonderful senior that we're going to see later, Bob Mackey.
Oh my god, it wasn't. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the greatest costume designers in the 20th century made these costumes too. Now,
look,
he-
there's nothing wrong with the costumes. The costumes are they work for what they are. It's it's
So-
a space acrobatics.
so the documentary came out, which I strongly recommend people watch.
It's
There's
so
a
good.
Disturbance in the Force. It's not just about how they made this, but about the period between 1977 and 1979 for Star Wars. It's a crazy thing to think about what Star Wars was like when there was just one movie. But Bob Mackey didn't like the fact that Star Wars didn't have a lot of color. So he wanted
It's
to put
very
as much
Earth-Jonesy.
color as possible in the costumes that he created. Unfortunately, for all of the acrobatics, they had to film very long hours, and the whole concept of going to the bathroom was alien to Bob Mackey, apparently.
Yeah, that tracks.
I feel like that happened to everybody who's in a costume in this, though. Like, because they're in an unair-conditioned soundstage in Burbank. Okay, so
In
it's
August.
hot in there anyway, in August.
August, yeah.
And so everybody in a Wookiee costume, they can only film for a little bit at a time, because they're just passing out. They're literally passing out unconscious because they're so overheated inside the costumes. At least these folks are filming like separately. This poor lady who's in the lumpy costume is just having to sit there and make faces at an empty table while sweating buckets underneath all that hair. So many people almost died making this movie. Just saying.
A lot of people passed the fuck out a lot on set.
So dangerous.
Especially during the cantina scenes, because they didn't know you have to pump oxygen into those.
They were just
Yeah.
passing out.
Yeah.
And B. Arthur was so confused. She's like, I don't even know what this show is.
So-
I've got a song to sing.
I love that.
I do love what I do. Like, this is actually like one of the things I unironically love about the holiday special, because for me personally, it has just a lot of things that like I just want to see more in Star Wars. Like, I love the concept of artists in Star Wars. Like, what happens if you're an artist during the Republic and then the Empire takes over and you suddenly can't do art? And it was something like I wish they would do more in Rebels with Sabine's character, but I never really dove into that. And so I love this concept of TV. I love this concept of entertainment in a galaxy far, far away, because like that little Cirque du Soleil scene is very much like the water ballet in the background of Revenge of the Sith, with Palpatine's like, "Yo, Anakin, I'm a Sith Lord," and it feels like the groundwork for that. And I just think that's really cool. And I wish there was more, like even just the cooking show. Like that's something I want more of in Star Wars.
I would love Star Wars cooking shows. Yeah.
Right? And I think they're fun. And so like it's one of those things that I love so many ideas in this. It's just the execution is bonkers wild.
So
Oh Christ, this scene.
so
Ellen DeGeneres!
Mala did find my phone on her husband and couldn't find him anywhere in the area, so now she's calling the last bitch that saw him. That's what this is.
That is amazing. So this was one of
Oh,
the things,
honey.
This was one of the things that blew my mind in the documentary. One of the biggest urban legends is that Empire Strikes Back added the monster scene because of Mark Hamill's face,
Right.
and that the reason why his makeup is so terrible is because of the same thing. He
Yeah.
got that shit fixed actually really quick with plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Them adding the monster scene at the beginning of Empire and his makeup here has nothing to do with his face. And that was the part that blew my mind. I had no idea. There was actually an interview with George Lucas where he confirmed that his makeup is the way it is because there are theater variety show people doing the makeup.
It's terrible.
Did you just say
Terrible.
what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, there's no like consistency. And no. This is very
Has he
modern language.
blinked once?
Robin, we're at
You can't
3:30.
blink when you're on that much cocaine. His eyes are too dry. The lids
I've
don't
done
move
that
anymore.
amount of cocaine. You absolutely can blink.
He does look
What
like
did you just say?
he does look like Ellen DeGeneres. I can't stop looking at that now.
Right?
Oh, it's killing me.
Poor R2.
Also,
R2 is my scion.
again with the weird characterization, why is he being so mean to R2 in this?
I don't know. But so none of the writers for the show,
Oh, he
for the
blinks.
variety
Good
show,
job.
have ever seen a Star Wars.
Work.
Well, and the thing is, there had only been one, so it's not like there was any like reverence for the source material here. There had been a movie; it did well. They're just kind of riffing off of that. There was no canon. There was no Wikipedia. There was no none of that.
Has there
So-
ever been reverence for the?
There was no Pablo Hidalgo. He may not have even been alive yet. I don't know.
There was-
I have always found the period from about 1977 to about 1996 very interesting, because up until Heir to the Empire, the whole idea of like a unified Star Wars canon, that didn't really exist. They were just throwing random things at the wall. If you read
What is Mark
novelization-
Hamill inhaling right now?
What isn't he
What
inhaling
what
right
is
now?
that gas made of?
It is.
And why does Itchy have like a defined ass through the fur? That's what
You know-
you see that he's got individual cheeks.
Everybody has to have something, Steph. You know. Oh,
Yeah, and he's
this
got a
is
porn
terrible.
habit. We'll see it in a little while.
If you, like me, want to break your brain on Star Wars canon, I highly recommend the original Alan Dean Foster novelization of A New Hope, where they didn't know shit. Luke Skywalker has a dog. He has a dog that he thinks about.
Oh, okay.
The novelization. So on
Sure.
the legend side of Wikipedia, they have to have an article for Luke Skywalker's dog.
Amazing.
It's so funny.
This scene goes on for so long.
That could describe everything.
So-
in this
It's just
holiday
Art
special.
Carney trying to make funny happen, and it's just miserable.
So fun fact: every single Art Carney scene had to be done before lunch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because he was one of the biggest alcoholics in Hollywood.
I thought that was you were gonna say he was one of the biggest stars in like TV and stuff. No, he's a fucking drunk.
No.
He
There
starts
was a
drinking
for-
his lunch they couldn't film.
There was a completely different variety show project that he was on. I think it was actually the Brady Bunch, a variety special. And one of the stage managers told Art Carney, "I'm sorry, sir. I know you wanted to do earlier in the day, but we can't film your part till the evening." He's like, "No problem. I'll be in my trailer." Okay, cool. The stage manager goes out to the trailer, opens the door, and bottles just come out. And there's like a viscous liquid. There were women and Art Carney, and he was drunk. And they had a similar occurrence with filming this. They realized, holy shit, this guy drinks. Like he goes to lunch, he will pound all the booze, and come back and be drunk. There is a scene where he is drunk. It is a VR scene.
Of course.
If
makes sense,
I were
it
in
makes
the
sense.
Star Wars Holiday Special, I would probably have gotten this drunk.
I actually think Madman has a point, and yet he was the most sober guy on set. I can't dispute that.
So what's happening here in the story, because we're talking over it,
sorry.
is no, please. Chewie's wife can't find him. He turned off his phone, so she can't track him right now. And so
Can't find
now she's
Chewie.
calling his friends. I mean, like, have you seen my man? So that's what's happening here.
I'm pretty
And
sure
for
there
some
was
reason, Death Star operators are shopping, even though the Death Star has been destroyed.
At
so
the
I'm
at the fucking knickknack shop on
yeah.
Kashyyyk, which we
Like-
will hear later is not called Kashyyyk yet. That's not its name yet.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the reason that Chris asked me on specifically is because I never shut the fuck up and I will talk over the entire special and he does not have to hear a word of it.
I actually just wanted an emotional pinata.
It's also that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like anything that's happening right now is like plot relevant. This is
reading
just
the
to establish the
warning.
fact that
He's
there
reading
is an
the
Imperial presence on the planet. That's all we needed.
He's
Yeah,
reading
so-
the warranty out for this thing. That's what's happening in the
I love there's a warranty. Like, who are you going to
Peak
cash that
screenwriting.
warranty in?
Peak screenwriting.
Ooh, Hope. I feel like this should be what Ritello's like.
Oh God, no. Oh, hun.
For Light and
Yeah.
Dice reference, sorry, y'all.
I think you'll like what I send you soon.
Yeah, so for the costuming of the canon characters, they were given whatever A New Hope had left over that they weren't already using for Empire. Because for Empire, the pre-production budget was exploding out of control, and they had to reuse most of the costumes from A New Hope for it. So
Has
there
our
were only a
Carney
few
got
they
a
weren't
hearing
using.
aid in?
Probably.
There
I
was
was-
also. Oh, go
I
ahead,
was
Charles.
confirming the other
interesting.
day that in fact Gary Kurtz did walk away from Return of the Jedi because he thought the Death Star 2 was a fucking Oh, I don't want to miss this.
This is the only good scene in the whole show for me.
It's because
Fuck
this is
you. The Nelvana special is there.
You're right. You're right.
so this is actual footage from A New Hope that they ended up cutting. This is like editing room floor stuff, right?
Right.
That's why there was nobody in a Vader costume on the set for the holiday special. That's not a thing that happened.
No,
Anyway-
but he makes an impression.
Anyway, what I was saying was that
Anyway, Stephanie was
Another
fucking
reason-
talking. What I was
anyway,
saying was,
anyway, back to me.
Now, sweetie.
No, I was just going to say that one reason that's been floated for why Gary Kurtz walked away from Return of the Jedi was that Empire Strikes Back went massively over budget. And he disagreed with Lucas about
That's what I've read too. Now, it's interesting. So, why did this show get made? Why is this happening right now?
Capitalism.
A lot of studio execs.
thank you,
of this-
Colton. Yes.
well, that too. Well, more specifically, a lot of studio execs. Oh, here comes my favorite part.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna interrupt you. I just want to point out she's about to fucking cook dinner. Mala's got to cook dinner, right? She's got an apron on, presumably to protect her fur, or perhaps to protect the food from her fur. But we don't have like arm aprons. So watch as this lovely Wookiee lady manhandles this chunk of what is definitely actually raw meat on set in this costume. And how much of her hair just is in it and just getting with raw meat
kind of like
all
owning
over
a
it.
cat, you know? You just know that at some point you're going to eat cat fur.
Oh,
Just saying, this is the 70s, and that is a hot soundstage in August. So you know that meat also smelled amazing. And you know they weren't washing this fucking costume. So later, after she's done all this raw meat stuff, count how many people she hugs.
Oh God, no!
I
never
would
thought
watch
about that. Why did you put this into my head?
This is fucking terrible. But I do love Gourmanda.
I do love
Oh,
She's amazing.
Yes.
I love Gourmanda too. So the original director, David Akumba, who was before this, a rock and roll documentary filmmaker. In fact, he did some really big specials like Elvis Lives. That's where Elvis did his like big comeback show, and it broke all the viewing records. And Beatles documentaries, The Who, Yardbirds. Like he did a lot of shit with bands. He had a completely evil idea on how he was going to film a lot of the scenes. He wanted to use a single camera, and people had to be like, "Fuck you! No, we're using multiple cameras because we can't film this shit for 6 weeks. We have 2 weeks."
Right.
So he left the project
Nice.
after the third, fourth day or something like that. I think
It was a little bit more than that. What happened was they were also incredibly long days, and they were very quickly getting over budget.
Yeah.
And they hit a point where it was like, David, it's either you or this. And he left. And the guy they brought in, they were like, look, like, we don't know if we're going to be going forward with this. And it was essentially, and like the thing about David too is like, he was one of the liaisons with George Lucas. So once he left, it was given to the Welches, who were these variety show writers. And they knew nothing about science fiction. They had never edited before, and they're the ones who edited this process. And it was handed to them, and they had no idea what a Star Wars was.
And they've never edited anything before. Like they were involved with Cher's show, Carol.
She just grew another hand. I just want to interrupt this discussion of 70s production to point out that Gourmanda now has 3 hands.
Listen,
I watch
just
this
like to
drag
think that she's a
performance.
basilisk.
While Gourmanda's on the screen, I have to tee up and ask the question, who is playing Gourmanda?
Harvey Korman?
Bitch, ain't you got the internet right in front of you?
I do, but I'm teeing up someone
have
to
this
answer.
I am not IMDb-ing shit tonight
5
because I've done
minutes.
this twice before, but you can open a tab.
Harvey Korman did
Google.
it. Now Harvey Korman,
And the arms behind him is actually the actor that's in the mala suit.
Yeah,
Really?
which is so gross if you think about it. Harvey Korman.
She's just drinking the raw meat juice out of the pot now, Mala. Look, you can't eat at everybody's house, is what I'm saying. You can't.
Just have really strong digestive.
We're up to 4 arms now.
Harvey Korman is one of the most famous variety show comedians in the 60s and 70s. He was so popular on several shows that he had got his own show eventually. Now, that's not particularly special, unfortunately.
Yes, dust your little paws off. That'll fix the salmonella.
Stock footage combined with cardboard cockpit.
And Harrison Ford literally sitting on in a chair having to do this. Just bouncing.
Yeah, that's actually a great story. During the filming of these cockpit scenes, Harrison saw that the cameras weren't bopping, there wasn't any movement, and he was like, "Hey guys, do you know that you're supposed to like move stuff?" And they were like,
Make it
"Really?"
look like shit's happening.
Because they've never done an action movie or a sci-fi movie before. They just did variety show stuff.
So he really is just doing that.
They really are bumping up, yeah. And I'm actually shocked he did that because Harrison Ford was not into it.
No, you can count, and it's a fun drinking game if you don't already have one. For the Star Wars Holiday Specials, drink every time you see Harrison Ford long for the sweet release of death. So it happens quite a bit.
Bizarrely, I think of the original trilogy actors in here, he's probably the closest to what he is in the films.
He's also the
Just-
closest to sober.
That might
Yeah,
be what-
actually, he was sober during this time. Now, I do want this to be canon. I love the idea of the Empire broadcasting random announcements across the galaxy and see if people comply.
I mean, they
Did
do
you hear
that.
what the guy said, though?
What did he say?
He said that there was rebel activity on the Kazook planet. Because this is so early and the canon's not established yet, that planet isn't even named Kashyyyk yet. They're still calling it Kazook.
Is it named Kazook? Because Wookiees sort of sound like
Like a
Wookiees had a
kazoo?
kazoo,
Wait.
and Star Wars names.
Wait, Chris, it is canon though. That happens in Rebels. There's a whole like
I know,
Fox News and Rebels that does.
Okay,
this shit.
so Steph, can I confirm your worst fears right now? Oh, you got boomer fur. Oh, I could see the boomer fur.
Her love comes at a price. Yes, I know. It's all canon.
No,
It's all fucking canon.
Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau love the holiday special.
Of course they do.
I
I'm
know.
still here. I just have to be over here.
So much so they had a meeting with Kathleen Kennedy
Keep turning.
where
There you
they had some ideas for some like future projects and whatnot, and apparently this is what prompted Disney overall to just go ahead and canonize the special and Life Day and everything else.
go.
Now,
Nice.
where is your primary source on this? The special itself is canon, because I know that elements of it are
The
canon.
existence of the world between worlds.
Yes.
Well,
Charles is kind of right in this. Like, they have canonized elements of it, but not the entire special as a whole. They've been really picking and choosing from it. But Chris is also correct in a lot of things because it was the holiday special that was the template for all Mandalorians. It was where Jon Favreau pulled a lot of his inspiration for Din Djarin from, like, the rifle. Dave
Yeah.
Filoni used the look of Boba Fett's helmet during the Clone Wars. And I'll definitely talk like way more about that when we get to the animated part. But like, it was the look of Boba Fett's helmet that was the groundwork for designing Death Watch.
Hmm.
We missed the casual 1970s sexism. The sexual harassment of Chewbacca's wife by Art Carney. That happened.
Ugh.
thank God.
I was gonna say,
I didn't miss
Which
that.
instance of casual 70s sexism, because there's several.
There's so much. There's so much.
They literally
what-
just gave the kid an incredibly boring, you'll see in a minute, present and sent him up to his room.
Okay, so this present that he's unwrapping right now, this is the first Christmas where there are Star
Oh,
Wars
no.
toys.
Oh.
Oh no!
They legit everything that you see from the wooden X-wing stuff to the thing
I
that
want a wooden X-Wing.
they were selling
Oh.
them. These were
Oh.
all they merchandised everything from this
course they did.
from the special.
Guys,
course
it's
they did.
here.
Okay, but can we pay attention to the show real quick?
Do we have to?
That is a drunk Art Carney hooking up an elderly
He
Wookiee.
is drunk. He is
But
drunk.
yeah.
I can
With-
fill the void with facts if anybody wishes.
Now, I want to point out to everybody who's watching this and has not seen it before. Itchy, that's Chewie's dad. So Mala is at home with her father-in-law. And her father-in-law just sat down with his VR set in the middle of the living room. And this is what he's going to watch. He was just given this VR program by drunk Art Carney, from whom you should never accept anything, I think.
He's
That's so
definitely
safe.
not pruning his rusher tree right now. He's definitely not.
Man,
This
her
is
intro
perfectly
takes for
kosher.
fucking effort, doesn't it?
Hope, are you gonna drop the bomb on this one, or am I?
I was going to actually talk about how if this aired a year earlier, there's a chance this might have not even made air.
Yeah.
Damn it! I want to live in that timeline.
This is
There's
the
a lot of
one and only
synchronized
time.
swimming going on right now. Hold on.
All
Oh,
of this,
you know what I just realized?
Are they-
The
those
swimmers,
Mongols?
all the swimming, that's sperm.
no.
I wasn't gonna
Just
say it.
realized.
I did not need to spend my holiday thinking about little Wookiee swimmers, okay? The Wookiee cum
Okay.
was not on my Christmas wish list.
Then
You fool!
I'll bring up.
It's there
bring up
every
my,
time, whether you ask for it or not.
It's true.
Okay, finally, the star of this little fantasy for, again, because my entire sympathy is with Mala. Hold on, she's feeling her creation.
Steph, do you know who was supposed to be cast for this?
Hold on, she's vibing with Itchy.
I don't want to be. I don't know.
You're talking over her saying, "Oh, we are excited." How dare you? How dare you?
Can we get this for the
This is
squad?
Diane Carroll's art.
No, I am making
Show
a
some fucking
veto
respect.
right now. No, Itchy, we are on Squonk.
I'm going to say.
If anything,
hold
for
on.
Robin to like have Zero discover and just being like, "What the hell is this?"
So she says, "I find you adorable." Itchy is hitting repeat on that.
Oh,
Find you adorable. I find you adorable. I find you adorable. Yeah. So Itchy's doing exactly what you think he's doing during this in the middle of the living room.
because it's Life Day. Wookiees don't have boundaries.
Oh my god, it's
You
life day.
should.
That's why it's sperm. It's life.
Maybe
Yeah, it's
it's
life.
not
It's
for
a-
their
it
culture.
all
We can't
comes
shame an
together
entire
here.
culture.
In fact, later on when we see the life day orb, that's not an orb, that's an ovum.
I'm going to say maybe we should bring back the Hays Code so that I can maybe tee up Hope to explain why I just made that joke.
What the fuck? I think Star Wars should be banned.
Anyway,
I need
Diane
Jesus right now.
Carroll is magnificent. She is gorgeous.
She's
She's
so
fucking
gorgeous.
incandescent. She is a magnificent singer. It's a legitimately not a bad song at all. It's just in terrible, terrible context.
Okay, so Steph, do you know who was cast to be in this role before her? There was she's a last minute change. Your hint is Bob Mackie costume.
I'm not picking up hints right now. I'm
You're
in the
high.
thick of this.
This was supposed to be Cher. Cher was cast to do this part.
Oh, that would have been so. Oh, damn
That would have
it.
destroyed her fucking career.
I
No,
don't think so.
It would not
It-
have.
No,
She's
it
would've
fucking
done-
Cher.
Yeah, I know,
She's
I know.
fine.
This, a
I
gay
don't-
icon movie.
It would have.
Cher was in it. Yeah.
But see,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Cher, I mean, she had the fucking Sonny and Cher show. She had her own variety show going on.
And she had her own show. Yeah.
And she had a lot happening. And she did so many bizarro variety acts. No, this would not have killed her career. Absolutely not. If anything else, she would have elevated this quite a bit.
I actually think Diane Carroll has a lot more talent, raw talent, than Cher. She's a multi-time Tony Award winner, one of the first African American
She's a goddamn legend.
people to win a Tony Award. She's a fucking legend. I love her.
So now, Hope, why would this have not potentially made air?
Yeah,
if it had tried to air
I
a
was
year
gonna
before?
give it to that.
Oh, so during this time period of when this was airing, we were actually in the declining years of what was called the Television Code of 1952. And that was built on top of what was called the Hays Code. The Hays Code was founded in 1930. And it was to help regulate movies coming out of those darn roaring 20s with their sex and their booze and the blah, blah, blah. And the thing about the Hays Code was it was a way for studios to regulate themselves. So they couldn't have, like, they'd rather not have, like, sex or drugs or violence or sexual profanity, which read that as gay. But the thing about the Hays Code was it was self-regulated, but theaters could choose whether or not what movies to show. And so if they didn't want to follow studios that weren't going by the Hays Code, the studios were like, oh, we're not making money, we'll have to follow the Hays Code. So it was very, that was kind of like the beginning of what would eventually become the Television Code of 1952. Because the Hays Codes were just for movies, and this was also around the foundation of the FCC. And so that's actually how theater went to theater. That's actually how movies went for a while. And this was also the time period where queer coding came from for media, because people wanted to get around the Hays Code. And so because of this, and then later the television code, which is why like we get like Bugs Bunny in drag or Disney villains being queer, these were ways to get around these laws. But then TV came, and TV was also wildly unregulated. And there's a series called The Quiz Show Scandals, where quiz shows would rig get their outcomes for ratings. And when people found out, they were pissed.
Correct.
So the FCC then got together and made the television code in 1952. And it was like the Hays Code, but worse because it had Jesus. And it pretty much took the rules of the Hays Code and made it law. And on top of that,
Itchy is satisfied.
Studios were required to have Christian block programming.
Oh my
which is
God.
why we still have it today. So essentially we're still seeing the ramifications of it. It was no profanity. Oh, and you couldn't negatively portray family. So like this was like the Leave It to Beaver era. And that dominated up through the 60s until people were like really getting tired of this kind of programming, because you had stuff like...
Sorry to interrupt you, Hope, really
you're
fast. She's high as balls right now.
She is.
Yep.
Correct.
And I firmly believe, that Carrie Fisher was like, oh, there's no underwear in space. No underwear, George.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I support it.
That's what's going on there.
But this is like the most un-Princess Leia shit ever, where she's just like, Mala, get the fuck out, stand aside.
Like, could you get somebody who fucking speaks basic on the phone, please? Oh my God. I'm not only trying to find your man, I'm trying to find my man. Where are they?
But
I
this
want them
is
to go
where
drinking together, though, Leia and Mala.
I think they would get a lot. I mean, I think they would.
I think they
if
have
were
to,
different
because their
writers.
husbands are just out in space all the time. Well,
Their
I mean,
husbands
she and Han are not
are
married
husbands.
yet, but you know.
Ugh.
Would you please get a human? Does it have to be drunk Art Carney though? Yes.
But this is where the lack of knowledge of the variety writers really fucked this up, because they didn't know that C-3PO was a protocol droid. They didn't know that he could translate everything.
Oh.
They'd never seen Star Wars. They had no idea.
He should have been able to translate. That's right.
Right.
Hmm.
The only exposure they have to Star Wars at this point is sitting in an office with George Lucas for about 12 hours, and that's it. That's
God.
everything they knew about Star Wars. and George Lucas did the nerd thing where he's
I feel
like,
like
"Oh,
there's a
you're
circle of
interested."
hell that looks exactly like that.
George Lucas shows up with this binder full of shit, and he's like, I have all these stories, all these amazing things. He's just talking about his Star Wars universe for hours. And these comedy variety show writers are like,
So
And
how do
that's
we get
all-
the gymnastics number and the musical number in there, George?
That's it. That's
Yep.
it. That's it.
We're back on the Millennium Falcon cardboard set.
I love that Yavin is green. I'm sorry, not Yavin. Kashyyyk.
Kazoo.
Kazook. Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome,
Leia,
Steph.
bye, bitch.
Leia's like, I don't understand anything she's saying, and that guy's drunk. I'm not talking to them.
And that's fair.
It's worth eternally remembering with things, particularly from this era of Star Wars, no matter how pedantic nerds like me on the internet might obsess about canon and what's not canon, the idea of a canon, of trying to adhere to one coherent universe and one coherent story, that's a relatively new invention. Part of what I say, because I say a lot, Star Wars is not a history, Star Wars is a mythology. Part of the reason for that is mythologies don't work together.
Stormtroopers.
The Stormtroopers are here to get me to not go off on a tangent about Greek myths. Anyway, Percy Jackson's really good, actually.
I'm gonna need you to rein it in.
I'm gonna watch that soon.
now.
I'm not
Empire's
gonna read
here.
the books. I'm just gonna watch the series.
The Empire's here to ruin my fun.
They're doing their fascism thing. For some reason, they brought some of the pilots from the Death Star down
Yeah, I
with
was
them.
gonna ask. Like,
Well,
They just
also
saw the
lost
helmet
their
in the
jobs.
costume
They
room.
have to like work somewhere else, and they just lost their job. The Death Star's gone.
well, no.
so-
The issue is they didn't lose their jobs; they stopped existing.
Right. So, like, were these guys just on leave at the time? What happened?
You know, it was their day off.
Fun fact. So Bruce Valanche told this really funny story in a podcast I heard about this. I wish he mentioned it in the documentary, but I guess they didn't include it. they forgot to cast enough men for the variety show. So every single stormtrooper is a woman.
Nice.
And the stormtrooper
Oh
isn't...
my god, equality or something.
Well, except that the women had a hard time fitting in the suits, and Harrison Ford had a hard time doing his scenes because he was supposed to be beating the shit out of stormtroopers, and he's like, "I'm hitting women."
Though, good for Harrison Ford.
I mean, yeah, of course.
He's
like,
old-fashioned in his own way. The scene goes on for so long.
It's so long.
It should be the subtitle of the entire special. The Star Wars Holiday Special, this scene goes on for so long.
And none of them are holding their guns correctly.
Did you see how I was holding it? Like,
because these are props from the movie. They have, like, if you recall, like multiple handles and
you
shit
don't need to look in her fucking knickknacks, dude. He's like, what does this bookend do?
He's
Nothing.
checking my wallet.
So anyway, the television code 1952. So this dominated TV for about 15 years. And this is like your Leave It to Beaver era. And fun fact, this was also what's considered the dark ages of animation, which will be relevant very soon. And so it was about towards the end of the late 1960s that this kind of idea where people were getting tired of this like morality on television started coming up to pass. So the FCC had one last hurrah called the Family Viewing Hour. And this was created in 1975. And this was a requirement that the first hour of the prime time was only dedicated for family-friendly programming. And it was originally 8 to 9 p.m., but then it got moved to 7 to 8 p.m. And this decimated shows in their ratings. And it was so egregious that Norman Lear, the wonderful television creator who just passed away, was the first person to take them to court over it. And the Family Viewing Hour, if this had came out a year prior, it would have still been in that time period. But it finally broke down in 1977 when it was ruled unconstitutional by a judge, and the Family Viewing Hour was completely abolished. But the Television Code of 1952 still stuck around till about 1983. That's very important because the dark ages of animation is considered from the 1950s to about the early 80s, and the renaissance of animation is considered the late 80s to the early 2000s. Do you want to know what's in that kind of mid-80s period transitional time period?
The Simpsons.
Ewoks and droids.
Oh, God.
And it got caught up in that transitional time period. Thank you. That's part one of my TED Talk. Anyway, hey, we're about to watch Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, but the reason why the studios threw their money down during that lawsuit was because they were losing. They identified very quickly they were losing precious ad dollars.
They were.
Like
the
a lot,
Honeymooners
and
was the highest rated show during that time period, and its ratings got slashed.
But
Hey,
that's
Chris,
why the variety.
When you share your screen, can you like hover your mouse so people can see the timestamp?
Sure.
Because that doesn't tell us much. There you go.
Fun fact, though, when this aired, critics rated that this was the best graphics of the entire segment.
So this was one of the few things that the original director, David Akumba, actually made because he was making music videos way ahead of its time. So
this is a music video. This has nothing to do with anything else that's going on. It is a Jefferson Starship music video.
It's a penis.
Yes, it's a very phallic microphone he's holding.
It is.
A pink penis. So
Hell
why
yeah.
was Jefferson...
is this them trying to do lightsabers? Is that what that is?
Well, kind of. So why was Jefferson Starship even selected for this?
If a lightsaber was a corn dog, that's what we've got here.
Jefferson Starship was selected because they have a song called Hyperspace. That's it.
I thought it was going to be because they're named Starship.
That's the other half of it.
That was the other half of it, but they have a song called Hyperspace.
So my question is...
Hyperdrive. It was Hyperdrive.
Hyperdrive,
Do
you're right.
any of the members of Jefferson Starship remember doing this?
Yes.
One of them.
We should watch A Disturbance in the Force because he
Just the
actually opens the thing with, I kind of remember doing.
I know. He was even high for the interview on the documentary, but basically they were told just dress yourselves, and they were like, okay, and so they just put on whatever costuming they did. They did their thing. They wanted to do this song because they were coming out with the greatest hits album a couple months later, and that's it.
So out of sheer abject curiosity, because Art Carney was gesticulating so wildly,
Ugh.
I went to see whether or not this character had appeared in any other Star Wars media
And
besides this special. One
oh God,
other
please
time.
don't.
Nothing else, even in Legends, even had this guy appear. He was an NPC in-game in Star Wars Galaxies
Oh
from
my
2008
God.
to 2011 for their
Nice.
Life Day
Fucking
events.
way.
That is the only other time that Sondan has appeared anywhere at all in Star Wars.
Was he a vendor?
He was some
Is he
sort of
running his
quest
little knick-knack shop?
NPC.
You can go get a little portable aquarium?
It only looks like he was an NPC. Let's see here. He was a quest giver. But it doesn't look like
Was
you
the
could
quest to
buy
read a
anything.
warranty?
It's to deliver porn to
Only.
Right. Deliver this
Quest-
pornography to Chewbacca's father-in-law. His father.
Something about delivering sweets. Apparently was the quest.
Nice.
Can I be a tiny nerd about one of the comments in the chat?
Yeah.
Sure. Which
So
one?
Robin had said, in quotes, the dark ages of animation. What's actually really ironic is it also saved animation because the transition from movies to television was incredibly expensive and they had to find new ways to create animation. So Chuck Jones originally invented what is considered limited animation. Very early in one of the first attempts was the 1942 Merry Melody short Dover Boys. And because of limited animation, Hanna-Barbera then took it and ran with it and made shows like The Flintstones and Huckleberry Hound.
Mhm.
And it was this very like simple, like when you watch like old Scooby-Doo. Old Scooby-Doo is a really good example where they reuse animation episode to episode to save money. That is called limited animation. And it relied on the script and the voice acting, not the animation to carry the show. So while it's considered the Dark Ages, it also defined animation on television, but it also negatively hurt it because that's where the stigma that animation was just for kids came from. So while it is considered the Dark Ages of animation, and why actually the Faithful Wookiee and Ewoks and droids were so groundbreaking for their time, was because we were coming out of that era by the time that this and those two shows aired.
So
Also,
Chris,
tell me if I'm annoying with my fun facts, because
I need you to pause. Chris, this is how fucking old we are. We have just had someone explain to us the cartoons we watched as children as though they are a remarkable historical fact. I grew up on that. Hanna-Barbera was I was watching fucking Yogi Bear and the Flintstones. Yeah, Chuck Jones.
Actually,
Yeah.
the thing with the Flintstones too was they weren't the first couple to share a bed on television, but they were the first animated couple to share a bed on television, and it was
That's
like
true. That's
mind
absolutely true.
blowing for it broke people in the 60s because Fred and Wilma shared a bed. Hide the children, clutch the pearls. God forbid, parents love each other.
So Colton, the Flintstones was an animated TV show.
It was based on the Honeymooners. So what the Honeymooners was...
No. Okay, hold on.
Oh.
I would like to defend myself here. I know what the Flintstones and all those
It is a-
Hanna-Barbera cartoons are because I watched Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
I thought you were about to say because you saw the John Goodman movie.
I thought you were going to say because my parents gave me the Flintstones vitamins as a kid.
Oh, no, I didn't.
That would work too.
10 million strong and growing.
Okay. Well,
So fun
Dark
fact
Ages
with the
of
Dark
Disney- one of my
Cauldron,
favorite Disney
that was
with-
Disney's first use of CGI.
Yeah, Black Cauldron was the first use of CGI. Black Cauldron is a moment that Disney wants us to forget about, but the Japanese said, "Fuck that! We're gonna make a whole attraction around Black
Why would they
Cauldron."
want us to
So
forget about it? It's got crunchings and munchings. What's the problem?
It's a good
it's too
movie.
scary.
Well, I like that movie. That's not necessarily a good movie.
I love that movie now, but when my mom took me to see it, I was scared shitless because I was like 3.
Man, 80s animation was the best.
Okay, did they make the Imperial officers' hats more penisy? Is that just me?
I think it's just the guy that's wearing it. He's kind of
Yeah.
penisy on his own. We are heavily implying that if Mala's just a little extra nice to him, then he'll stop trying to murder her child. So, fascism.
I think what they're going for is fascists or dickheads.
But because they're doing it through the lens of, casual 1970s misogyny, it's really ugly. It's really ugly. Anyway, Lumpy's going to escape from all of that by putting on some headphones and watching.
And now we see some good old-fashioned rebellion propaganda.
My time has come.
So, real quick, this was intended to be a separate presentation initially, but when it was CBS decided, hey, let's make this shit 2 hours, they were going to go ahead and include this as part of the whole special.
Why does R2D2 have a waist? What's going on there?
I hate this.
I hate this cartoon so much.
I personally hate it, but I respect the fact that this is what set off Star Wars
C-3PO's arm
connection to
movements
animation.
just are everything.
No,
No, you're wrong, Chris. This is the ground foundation of all Star Wars television as we know it.
That's true. That's
Why
true
is
too.
Dr. Eggman here?
Why?
That's fair. No, what I most respect about this animation is that clearly the animators met Harrison Ford on a grumpy day and decided he was an asshole, and so they did what they did to how they drew Han Solo for this. You'll see. It looks like revenge. It looks like fuck that guy.
This is also the only element of this special that you can watch legally on Disney's proprietary streaming service.
Yeah, correct.
It is a heavy metal vibe because it is the same animation studio.
Can I?
Yeah, so this animation studio, a year before, they made a Christmas special, and George Lucas fucking loved it. It's also a big hit in Canada. To this day, they play whatever they did for the Christmas animation they did up to this day. Just like we show Christmas Story every fucking year on TBS for 12 hours out of the day. They have a Christmas special that George Lucas loved.
Apparently the ocean is made of Jell-O.
I don't want us to talk about this
Look,
planet.
Jell-O molds were really big in the 70s. Like, that was the height of entertaining.
It's
And
Odo's
food.
home planet from DS9.
He just crashed into like 90 people right then.
One thing
Leia.
I'm noticing here, and I haven't noticed any other time I've watched this special, is how many different methods of communication they use in the context of the special. So they use the little holograms for the TV shows. They use the TVs mostly. On this one, they're using an intercom. We think of Star Wars a certain way, but none of that existed at this point.
Right.
They're just yeah, of course they call somebody on the fucking intercom like it's school, like it's high school, and they're calling you to the principal's office.
Yeah, so we need to talk about why is Luke flying a Y-Wing?
Everything that's going on the screen right now in the Y-Wing is what we're fixated. There's a dinosaur in the
Hi,
Jell-O.
Daddy. I'm sorry, hold on. Sexy time has come.
Will you expect an answer? Because I have none.
Hi.
Is sexy
animal
time the
very
dinosaur?
So, kind of fun fact about
No,
Boba
he's
in
not
this.
the dinosaur. It's not sexy. Boba Fett is sexy. God. Your
Kind of fun
bias
fact
is
about
showing.
Boba Fett in this is he's thought to be voiced by Don Franks, but there is conflicting material that he might be voiced by Gabriel Del. And what happened is that Don Franks is usually considered the main voice actor, but there was a Topps card that came out in the 80s that was made because Topps thought that Gabriel Del did the voice of Boba Fett in this. And then Del's daughter came out and was like, yeah, that's my dad. So it's
Oh.
usually thought to be Don Franks, but there is conflicting reports that it could be Gabrielle Dell.
And Tops is a trading card thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I will
Are
recommend
those like
if people.
pogs?
Sorry,
So-
Colton.
They do Pogs too, Colton. Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
It's
Do
like
you
Pogs.
even know about Pogs?
Vaguely. I know
He's
about the
very
concept of
knowledgeable about
pogs.
the late 1900s. There's a class for that, and he's in school. So he
Can
would
I-
have learned.
I will say, if you've not watched the Boba Fett documentary on Disney Plus, it's like 25 minutes. It's adorable. It's full of Boba Fett facts. Daniel Logan talks about being Boba Fett. It's very cute.
Aw.
I highly recommend it. He talks about his relationship briefly with his own kid. It's very sweet. I highly recommend.
Can I tell you?
Is that a mythosaur? Is this where Dave Filoni got the idea, or Jon Favreau got the idea for the mythosaur? Was this cartoon?
Why doesn't Chewbacca have bones? That's what I want to know.
Can I?
Nobody has bones in this. Nobody.
Yes, Hope?
I think Hope has a fun fact.
I have a TED Talk about this. This was my jam that Chris promised me.
Oh shit, Chris, you promised her a bit?
I didn't know there was a TED Talk. I was gonna
I
talk about
told you.
penises and boobs, quite frankly. Oh.
I mean, this is a heavy metal studio, so boobs are like a thing that's on the table.
what I'm saying.
Okay. What is your TED Talk, Hope?
So Nelvana is the foundation of all Star Wars television. Welcome to my TED Talk. And it all stems from the Faithful Wookiee, which is this. This studio is a Canadian studio, as Chris has said. And the reason it's here is because David Akamba purposely found A Cosmic Christmas because he was friends with Clive A. Smith, who is the co-founder of Nelvana. And he brought George Lucas, because George Lucas wanted to do the story, and showed him A Cosmic Christmas. And the reason why, again, because we were in the American Dark Ages of animation, and George Lucas had been wanting to do more animated series, and he fell in love with A Cosmic Christmas because it still had a very European feel. So this was one of the few parts that George Lucas actually actively had a hand in. So he went to Nelvana and sat with them and brought them the work of Mobius. And if Mobius sounds familiar, George Lucas's favorite animated arc in Clone Wars is the Droids arc in season 5 with Meeber Gascon, which was also very heavily inspired by Mobius.
Which was not our favorite. Which, as Steph, as you would recall, that was not our favorite sequence of episodes.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Colonel Meeber Gascon, though.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the reason that
Ooh,
Nelvana
and Gregor.
is
That's where we got
so-
Gregor.
That's where we got
It
Gregor.
is. It is where we got Gregor. And so Nelvana is the foundation of all Star Wars television. And the reason that it is that Nelvana impressed George Lucas so much making this short that he went to them and he said that he wanted to do droids and Ewoks. Now, animation, like, it always pisses me off when people are just like, oh, no one cares about the animation, because George Lucas said in 1985 Star Log number 100, I've always been interested in animation. And again, it's a chance to experiment with ideas and new people and Star Wars characters. The Star Wars world is much easier to deal with in animation. You can be more flexible in development of ideas. Fuck all y'all who are just like, the cartoons don't matter. George Lucas
Right.
has always wanted to do animation.
Well,
So-
I mean, George Lucas was a Disneyland kid and knew his earliest favorite movie was Snow White. Like, his love of animation is well documented.
His first movie he ever made was an animated film called Look at Life.
Mm-hmm.
His first company was the American Zoetrope. The Zoetrope is one of the earliest forms of animation in history. He loves animation. And so Nelvana impressed them so much that he went to them to make droids and Ewoks. And as we said, like, it got caught in this transitional period between in 1985, because if it was maybe 2 years later, part of the animation renaissance, it actually probably would have done really well. But George Lucas wanted to raise the bar of the Saturday morning cartoons, but he was still stuck in the television code of 1952 in that era. So he didn't care, and they tried to push the boundaries. So when making droid and Ewoks, for example, there was a story in Ewoks called The Starman, and it was too risque for children's television. The plot of this is that an Imperial pilot crash lands on Endor, and the Ewoks nurse him back to health. And the Ewoks, the Imperial pilot then had to choose between the Ewoks and the Empire.
Leave it on there till we see Han Solo, please.
And
Everybody
ABC
needs to
turned
see
down the
his face.
story because it
If you
was
can.
too Star Warsy.
Nice.
Hmm.
Also, I would like to note that C3PO blinked.
Oh yeah, no,
I
he's
don't
got
know
eyelids.
why.
Yeah.
That's actually incredibly important. So we ended up getting droids and Ewoks in 1985.
You can cut it, Chris. We
And
don't wanna
it was
get
all
booted.
produced and made by
Oh,
Nelvana.
there he is. There's Han
Doesn't he
Solo.
look like Benedict Cumberbatch to anybody else?
A little.
A little.
It's like Benedict Cumberbatch to me, and I love it. So, Droids and Ewoks came about in 1985, and it was also made by Nelvana, who did this as well. And what ended up happening was they also launched several other careers. One of the writers of Droids and Ewoks was Paul Dini, who would go on and later write Clone Wars episodes, but he was also the co-creator of Harley Quinn in Batman the Animated Series. Droids and Ewoks was one of the very first things that he ever worked on. So George was constantly fighting ABC because they wanted him to do really sanitized Star Wars stories. And it got to the point where he was pushing the animation so much that they were some of the most expensive shows, period, on television. And it got to the point where Nelvana
I'm so
just
not
couldn't-
surprised.
Yeah, and so the cost of an episode of Droids and Ewoks cost about what is right around an episode of an anime today in 1985. So it ended up being the downfall of those shows, but in the end, Nelvana lost the right to do the second season of Ewoks, but because of that, it became the first season in-house at Lucasfilm. So Nelvana, while it had a hand here in the holiday special and making the first series on TV, it actually inspired later works. So somebody was saying that like C-3PO's eyes are scary. Somebody who loved C-3PO's eyes was Genndy Tartakovsky, who did the 2003 Clone Wars. And he loved the holiday special. He loved Droids and Ewoks. He adored C-3PO's design, which is why C-3PO looks like that in those shorts. He also named the planet of Nelvon in the Nelvanians after Nelvana because
That
he
makes
loved
sense,
these as
yeah.
well. And he brought the Dulocs into his Clone Wars. And so that was the first step. And in turn, that Clone Wars would then go to inspire Dave Filoni. It was the first appearance of Saj Ventress. It was the first appearance of General Grievous. So from the holiday special and the groundwork that Nelvana laid through the Faithful Wookiee, through Droids and Ewoks, we ended up getting all Star Wars television that we have today. And it just started this snowball effect. And it is so important. This is why the holiday special is important to watch, because it is the groundwork of everything we have today. We would not have any of this if not for the hard work of Nelvana, because that is what people remember the most. It gave us Boba Fett. It gave us the groundwork for the Mandalorians. It gave us all of this. And because of that, we should always look back at the Faithful Wookiee, because it was the building blocks of everything Star Wars now. I'm going to drink.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I disagree with that last point, though. I say with all due respect, Hope, because according to George Lucas himself, and in a podcast he did with Seth Green, the animated piece was being done separate of this project initially, and the only reason why it got included was because CBS was like, "Hey, let's do 2 fucking hours." And so George Lucas was like, fuck yeah, I'll include the cartoon in that because
10340, Georgia.
There's a
What?
reason you can watch.
They're asking for the timestamp.
Oh yeah,
in the
yeah.
chat.
I'll put it back here. Hold up.
There's a reason you can watch the Wookiee section on Disney Plus, Story of the Faithful Wookiee, and nothing else. Because
Yeah,
that
that's-
was
and
important
that's my
enough that
point.
Disney
I
felt like it had to preserve it.
I can't help but feel like if George Lucas is allowed to do it separately somehow, some way, as its own special, where it would have ended up, and I feel like Star Wars animation would have gotten a lot more respect. Therefore, though I do respect the other implications, like Batman. The Batman animated series is like one of my favorite fucking projects of all time, and I have heard that story that like their involvement with like the Star Wars animation was a big thing for them. So I don't know. The reason why I'm hesitant to like rope it all in is because of the sexism in this fucking project. It's like, it's really bad and it's really offensive. And like, even going back and seeing like Luke like going like, "Oh, Mala," or whatever he says to her, like, don't cry, or give me a smile, or that kind of creepy stuff. It kind of makes it hard for me to like want to attach something really important to that.
I think you see the beginnings, you see the origins of life in a lot of what we love about the Star Wars now, particularly in the animated stuff. You see that here, but for a lot of the reasons that Chris stated, like the casual sexism and also the bizarro nature and the lack of timelessness of this production, because it is the 70th thing you've ever seen. I don't know if I would say that this is like required viewing for anybody to be a Star Wars fan.
I'm not saying it's required viewing, but I also don't think we should ignore history, warts and all, because this is part of Star Wars history, and
it's a big part of it.
It is, especially the work that Nelvana did. It is what inspired so much. It was Genndy Tartakovsky, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, like these people, Paul Dini, like these are really greats today, and we can't, like, yeah, like Grimonda, I love her, but she's like borderline blackface. Like we cannot ignore the parts that we don't like, because it is warts and all. We can't just select the history that we like. So yeah, there might be some snakes in that bedrock that built Star Wars TV of today, but we have to accept that the snakes are there, and we can't. Yeah. What the fuck is this analogy I'm making?
I think
no, I get it. You're right.
I think an important distinction for me when I'm having conversations with people outside of the Star Wars content creation sphere, because how I talk to Hope, how I talk to Chris, these are different than conversations that I have with like my friends at parties. And the difference for me is something
don't
like...
people at parties just run away from you, though?
No, I'm surprisingly popular at parties, but I'm trying to make a serious point.
I'm
never going to recommend anyone ever read anything Karen Traviss wrote for Republic, particularly for Republic Commando. I think it's bad. I think it's sexist. I think it's terrible.
Is that like a book?
I don't like it, yes. I think that, however,
she was an author. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm giving.
I'm never going to recommend these books to people as an enjoyer of Star Wars. I am going to recommend them to people who want to understand why a lot of the Mandalorians are the way they are, because along with Abel Pena's work, that set the groundwork for a lot of Mandalorian culture and how that's portrayed in media and how that's portrayed in fandom with the Mandalorian mercs and all that.
That's fair.
So there's a difference between saying you should watch this thing because it's good, or even you should watch this thing because it's, there, versus it's important to understand this thing and not ignore it, but I'm never ever going to recommend anybody consume this.
And it's also just to touch on something that you said earlier, like, yeah, this came from a separate story from George Lucas, but Nelvana was brought in to make it for the holiday special. It says so on StarWars.com. The story of Star Wars animation began in Toronto, Canada, when the small animation studio Nelvana was tasked with creating a 10-minute sequence for the Star Wars holiday special. That is StarWars.com. Like, they were specifically, it's BR there!
Cool. Let's move on to the live action.
Steph's like, we're the penis and dicks podcast.
I'm just like the DNA of the animation and the history of the Star Wars, everything, but that is like really niche, arcane Star Wars fandom stuff. That it's really cool. It's really cool to know. It is not required knowledge.
It's fine.
I love that we're seeing the second ever appearance of Fagrin Dan in the modal nodes.
Right.
My second favorite is.
My favorite thing about this was what's going on?
Oh, what? Where?
Okay.
What?
My favorite thing about this was there was an interview with B. Arthur about having this, because we'll see her in a minute, and because there she is and she looks amazing. She said she had no idea what this was. She had a job to do. She got a friend asked her to sing a song, and she was going to do that because she's a fucking Broadway legend and she's a professional and she's going to do her job. But she showed up and there was just a bunch of people with big heads on. She didn't know what that was about. She didn't even associate this with that Star Wars movie that came out. And I love that.
I love that.
Didn't she also take this job for her kids because her kids love Star Wars? Am I thinking?
I haven't heard
That was I think it was at this point her grandchildren. I don't know. You're right. She her kids were like, no, you should really do this.
Mhm.
But one of the other reasons why she wanted to do this is because of who she got to work with. Like she's working with shit, I forgot his name already. So Hope, what was the song she wanted to do for the show?
Didn't write it down off the top of my head because those were not the notes I prepared.
Oh no, I remember what it was. Alabama song by The Doors. She really wanted to do. She really wanted to do a rendition of Alabama song. Oh, that old whiskey bar. So the songwriters combined that with the Cantina song.
Okay.
The Jizz song for the record, that's where this whole thing came from.
For those of you who aren't aware, Chris isn't just being gross. In Star Wars, jazz music is called jizz. Or it was. I think they've changed that since.
Nope,
but
still is. Hesitant.
People here have strong opinions about jizz.
It's the best thing that George Lucas ever did.
They called it jizz, and that's canon.
That is canon. No matter what Twitter says, that is canon. Yes,
right,
Lucas. I do want to pat Ithorian on the head.
It's true. It needs to be done.
What a correct comment.
Anyway, B. Arthur's being sexually harassed right now. It's going to get worse.
I love jizz. It's great to listen to when you're in the cantina enjoying a beer. It's just kind of like, washes over you. It's really great.
With me.
Someone just crop out Chris yelling, "I love jizz," and we'll just use that for future references.
I mean, there's.
You don't need to crop it. He'll do it on demand.
He will do it on demand.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
How dare you? I'm classy.
That's
right.
So this is terrible.
Hardcore sexual harassment. Don't go behind the bar. Don't go behind the bar. I don't care how many drinks you poured into the hole in the top of your head. Don't go behind the fucking bar.
Why is there a hole at the top of his head?
Because it's Star Wars.
Because he's alien, Christopher.
Because there.
No, you want to do a deep dive on some lore? Find out what species he's supposed to be. Go.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Colton's on that.
Okay, but what do you...
Just the picture. Just straight in. Just fuck this fucking guy. She's trying to kill him with alcohol poisoning is what it is. Now, one thing I think we missed is that aren't we watching this because the Empire required?
Yes.
This is required viewing for all citizens in the Empire right now. Is this here?
I have headcanon that Palpatine forces the galaxy to watch reality TV, and he has different cameras set up all throughout, and one of them's
we're gonna watch my stories together, everybody. Literally everybody.
We just covered
I have
Darth
14
Vader.
what happens in this next episode.
So we just covered Darth Vader on Gold Squadron, and one point that we kept bringing up was in Imperial systems, the whims of the Emperor dictate policy. So if the Emperor likes Mon Cala ballet, then Mon Cala doesn't get boiled. Or, for example, if the Emperor really likes his soap operas, that means everybody has to watch them. That's how empires work.
And that's where we are. And right now,
I've ever heard in my life, and I want that to be canon.
Before she starts singing, his name is Krellman. He is from a non-named humanoid species and is only in Legends, according to Wikipedia, which means the Star Wars Holiday Special is not canon as of this moment, according to Wikipedia.
Wow.
However, thank you for the tee-up, Colton. Speaking of things that are canon, one of my favorite things to bring up to people at parties is that B. Arthur is canon. From a certain point of view, canonized Akmina
she's in it,
night shift manager at the cantina from A New Hope. So while she doesn't physically appear in the book, she is mentioned and canonized and forever a part of the Star Wars canon through that book. along
I
with other things
need-
like Gormanda and Life Day being canonized elsewhere.
Mhm.
But she is explicitly named and brought into canon through From a Certain Point of View. Y'all read From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi. It's the gayest shit I've read since Dr. Aphra.
I need there to be a multiversal Golden Girls version where they're Star Wars characters.
I think you
It
could
would be
probably
great.
assemble. You could get Maz Kanata to be Sophia.
Oh,
That's easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I want,
yeah.
I want
Oh,
it to be
yeah.
from different franchises. Like, I want B. Arthur to be this version of B. Arthur. I want Blanche
Okay.
to be her from Starship Troopers, where she's that like blind biology teacher while they're like dissecting.
Oh my
bugs
god,
and
that was Rue
everything.
McClanahan.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
Oh my god.
That's awesome. Fantastic. So, to get us caught up on the story here, the Empire has said everybody has to go the fuck home, and Akmina can't get these people out of her bar, so she's gonna sing them out.
I feel like people would have pulled guns and started firing.
That was a gun. She was just talking to somebody
Yeah,
who
the
was pulling a
Debronian
gun.
was holding a gun.
Are you even watching the show?
I am. I'm right now.
That was a gun.
Okay, do you know who would enjoy this musical number? And I'm
Everyone
being
with ears and a
Everyone?
heart.
absolutely
I
100%
love this.
serious.
Absolutely everybody with functioning ears would love this.
Well, that too. I mean, not only is this the best part of the special, but for me, but I honestly believe Martian Rowe would fucking love this, and he would demand this getting played on his ship all
The
the time.
fuck do you have to ruin this for me? Fuck you.
Why? I love. Oh, I know you're not a Martian fan,
We
but
would watch it
I
also-
together.
Fuck that
also
guy.
clearly Palpatine is a huge fan of this as well, and
Good for Palpatine.
Because Palpatine
Yeah.
has fucking
I'll take
taste.
Palpatine over Martian every day of the week.
Martian also has excellent taste. I'm sorry. Villains in Star Wars are so fucking stylish, man.
Now,
They
for
just are.
context,
for
for
context,
context,
yeah.
if you are not listening along with the Diva's journey, Steph has only read Light of the Jedi and Into the Dark. So
It's
far.
true.
So have I. So I've.
I
So,
think
so has
Steph would end
Colton.
up in.
So we're going to be
in
really
different camp.
careful what
Yeah.
we say.
Yeah,
Do not
I don't
ruin
think
this.
Steph is going to be a Martian hoe like me. I don't.
This is also the part of the holiday special where people almost died again because they didn't pump oxygen into the masks.
I know, including the ones that they used in A New Hope, which I'm like, holy
'Cause, I mean,
crap! How?
This is 70s effects, right? So particularly Grindan and the modal nodes, that's a whole head situation. Like there's not a lot of mouth hole.
Rats.
It wasn't that like these were the
Use
people
myself.
that made A New Hope. These were people who got A New Hope costumes and did not know how to make A New Hope. So they just was just like, oh, y'all need oxygen? Oh.
Right, right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you have
Then
a
we
problem
just
with
breathe through the
filming
hole
in
in
a
your head.
warehouse in August in California? Oh,
And this is
right.
not like breathable, athleisure gear material
Oh, is
here.
that a Tulls?
It's fucking rubber.
I think that's a Tulls. Yeah, that's a Tulls.
Yes, that's a Tulls. Yeah. See? He's making a little Tulls noise with his little
I
flippity
haven't,
floppity.
I haven't done that in a while.
Flaccid
I miss
flip-
Clone Wars.
Well, I think a Given is in this scene as well.
There is a given somewhere. Okay,
It's a
so the
given.
guy that B. Arthur is dancing with, he was brought up in
That's
a
an
documentary,
Aqualish,
but
yes.
there's he was mentioned in a documentary, but also I dug a little bit deeper. The guy that she's dancing with, he has passed out multiple times during filming of this in one day.
Nice.
And he was kind of getting pressure to keep going, and they decided to do this dance thing so B. Arthur could help him stand up.
Oh.
That's terrible.
Right?
Okay, so somebody in the chat asked about the giant rat, the giant mouse that was off to the side, and I can't remember. I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
that's a prop that they stole from somewhere in the studio, but that specific rat got canonized, and I can't remember his name. But he's like a person, and that's a species that was made canon after this. Oh, that's gonna make me insane.
Colton, do your thing.
Is that
In the Star Wars New Essential Guide to Alien Species, there is a few rat-like species. Like
Nerd.
No, but this one is specifically the giant one.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
I can hear Alabama song now when I hear this.
I know. Show me the way. There it goes.
Why does Colton just have that on hand? Because it's Colton.
Because it's Colton.
Like,
Yeah.
this is the charm of Colton.
Hello.
Incidentally, I can't see the chat. I'm
So?
not watching the chat.
This is why I had to pull an entire system out of my ass, because Colton opened up a book and was like, Yagdual, that sounds great.
It was this book. Tintin Dwarf is the name of the
Thank
giant
you.
rat. Yep.
It's a Tintin. Love it. Thank you. That sounds familiar.
Now there's a big...
Yeah.
Oh, he's saying goodnight.
Apparently, there is a website called the Star Wars HolidaySpecial.com
Oh.
that has everything.
For the record, the Divas position is we did not recommend sobriety for this, but not alcohol poisoning.
The only
so please
drinking
do
game
not-
officially endorsed by the Divas is to drink every time you see Harrison Ford longing for the sweet release of death. That's it.
And even that is a lot.
And even then, that's like a dozen, but that's late in the show.
Oh, look, he's giving her...
Oh, good.
Wait,
the sexual harassment guy is still
can we stay?
fucking there.
Yeah, but can we stay with her? Can we not? Palpatine, you dick. You just fucking broke the fucking communication.
When you
Right.
think about it, that's the most evil thing he could do.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
It is. Return to base, it says.
Oh,
That's a lot of antenna, sir.
there's a male missing from this
You're
household.
leaving one stormtrooper. That's even
With
the
like
little
20
Wookiee
with
could
like,
probably rip your feet off. Like, why are you leaving one stormtrooper?
I mean, the elder Wookiee would certainly like another round in his VR machine, but he can't very well do that with stormtroopers hanging out. You know.
You do think Itchy cares? Wookiees have bad boundaries, and Itchy's
In
the
front of the
worst.
stormtroopers? Oh.
Yes, absolutely in front of the stormtrooper. See, the stormtrooper is just now starting to figure out that Mala could rip his entire head off. So
It is causing me
I'd hate
so
to see
much
that.
anxiety the way that the steps are buckling. As that stormtrooper.
Like,
First of all,
Steps are
there's
buckling.
no railing. Second of all,
Correct.
if those are
of
props
course,
from a New
look,
Hope,
the lack
There's
of
no
railing is actually the
OSHA in
most
Star
canon
Wars.
accurate thing this show has done. There are no rails in Star Wars.
it is
There's
a
no
OSHA.
miracle that no one broke their neck doing this special.
But people did get hurt making.
Oh,
people
there was plenty
did
of
put themselves
injuries.
through hell, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. This is ridiculous.
And the really fucked up part for me is that Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, etc., didn't get paid to do this.
Right.
This was considered part of their promotional part of their contract. A lot of actors had to do crazy shit for whatever movie they worked on.
Which explains the
no-
state of their sobriety and the look on Harrison Ford's face.
Right. At the same time, they don't fucking have to care about quality when doing this shit.
Han
Love
Solo
the
was here to
Wilhelm
save the day.
scream.
That is... There we
Oh,
go.
and he killed a stormtrooper.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, no big deal. I mean, he's done that before.
He picks up this giant
Think about
baby,
how heavy.
hands
yeah,
off the giant... Because that is a grown-ass woman inside the lumpy costume.
Yeah.
Again, my takeaway
Hi,
from this
Mala.
particular rewatch of the special is that Harrison
Salmonella
Ford
hugs
is-
for everybody.
Oh god.
Harrison Ford is doing the best job of emulating his actual film character. I don't know what Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher are doing, but I look at Harrison Ford and I kind of squint and go, "Yeah, that's Han Solo, kinda."
No, there is not a single blaster bolt fired, except for, I mean,
Except
the
for
TIE
like
fighters.
in the space, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So an early script, Harrison Ford, or Han Solo, I should say, was supposed to have a Wookiee wife, and they were like,
That's right.
"No, he can't, because that's an animal."
Yeah,
So that got cut.
but what I did like, one of the things I liked about the documentary is that George Lucas sincerely wanted to expand the mythology of the Wookiees, and apparently he wanted to tie in the fact that the reason why Chewie didn't get a medal, because Chewie didn't want a fucking medal. Fuck that. He wanted Han Solo to take him to go see his family for Life Day as his reward, and that was going to be the whole concept. That was going to be the whole concept of the adventure version, not the. He didn't know what
the
he was
variety
getting
show
into.
version. Yeah,
he didn't know what he was getting into. He had been so. George Lucas had been pimping out Star Wars a lot because he wanted to keep people engaged with the fact that there was a Star War, and you keep seeing it at the movie theaters. There was a really interesting part about the documentary where they talked about how George Lucas was talking to Warner Brothers about doing a re-release of his THX movie in theaters, but something went really bad in that conversation, and George Lucas was super pissed, and he was just determined to keep the buzz going with Star Wars, and so he did the variety shows and the commercials and the disco song and all that kind of shit, and this was just another project like that.
The exec essentially said that in 6 months Star Wars would be nothing.
We're about to get a Wookiee kiss, guys.
Oh my god, no.
I love them. Why can't they be in love?
Because Chewie fucking ditched her for a couple of years. She's like,
but can you blame her though? Because as we can now
mom.
See, Chewbacca is a remarkably handsome Wookiee.
Did you not see Solo?
Saying
he didn't ditch her. He was a slave, and he had a life debt to Han.
Ugh, that's right.
He didn't ditch her.
Drunkard Carney.
An embarrassingly long amount of time to figure out that the Wookiee that Chewbacca like touches heads with in the Solo movie is not in fact Mala.
Right.
The first 2 times
Different
I saw
Wookiee.
the movie, thought that was Mala. Although, fun fact, I have cried at that scene while intoxicated watching that movie because I thought about how he wouldn't see his family for 30 years and started crying.
I love that for you.
Happy to help, Pedro.
Well done. You have to turn on your comm link. If you're a missing stormtrooper who just got thrown off of a tree, you need to turn on your comm link now. That's what he's saying.
You're right. You're right. I will be right back. Real quick.
Where are you going?
I have to use the restroom really quick.
Oh my god.
I know. I'm being transparent. I gotta pee.
Piss,
what do you?
girl.
Will you go?
Girl, this is long.
Oh my god.
Right, everyone insult Chris. Well, he's away.
I'm not gonna do that while Chris isn't here. I need
It's
him
like
to
work,
appreciate the
though.
singers.
It's just like what I
We
do.
compliment him so he never hears it.
I don't trust any of you not to tell Chris if I say something nice about him and he's not around.
I won't. I'll keep your secret.
Yeah, I won't say anything. I'll just clip it and then email it to
One
him.
thing I don't love about this story, other than, the masturbation in the middle of the living room,
Everything.
is the white saviorness of drunk Art Carney. He had to step in and save them from the Empire and all this shit. I get that it's Art Carney and this is the peak of his, and he's the TV variety show guy, and so he's got to do the thing. But I didn't love it. I don't like this tone.
When you think about it, Han
Just
Solo
waving.
kind of
There you go.
also participates because he's the one
It's
that
true.
takes out. It's not any of the Wookiees.
The Wookiees who
Not
could
any of the
rend
large,
everyone limb
strong
from limb.
Wookiees.
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
got to
no.
be the white man. The
Oh,
white man has to save us.
well, now that we've shooed all the white men away, it is time for sacred rituals involving crystal balls.
That has been my experience, yes.
Oh, Chris is not going to be here to rub this in my face.
What's being rubbed in whose face?
I
What's
know.
happening?
I don't
What
know
are
you're
we talking about? Who's
Chris
rubbing
is
what?
Chris is going to want to bring up that this is the world between worlds.
He'll be back in time for that.
Yeah.
The pettiness will summon him.
I hope so.
I just
Wait,
want
is
to
This is just, and I get that this is part of the idea that George Lucas wanted to expand the mythology and the culture of the Wookiees and stuff, but they had also kind of run out of budget by the time they got to this. So we're going to start to see where the results of that. Set's going to get real minimal. Costumes are going to get real big. Lots of draping fabric.
I just want to slide in.
Why did the
Life Day
Wookiees-
episode of Young Jedi Adventures is really good.
Aw.
Nice.
Oh, we're at the world between worlds.
There he fucking goes.
Told you! I fucking told you!
Goes.
The pettiness would summon him.
The one thing I don't get is, like, why are the Wookiees now wearing clothes?
Because they essentially ran out of budget.
Because they needed a lot of Wookiees and they ran out of budget, so they had heads and hands and nothing
Well,
else.
those are all Wookiees?
The rest of it is
yeah.
just
All
fabric.
Wookiees.
Oh, I just thought they
fabric.
were, like...
No, they were just Wookiee heads.
Yeah.
See, and they couldn't even like
Oh.
Hanna-Barbera that with a copy paste or anything because they needed this room full of fucking Wookiees in robes.
in the way they did that lighting effect with all the the lights and the world between worlds effects is they essentially went to like every store within like a few miles and bought every candle they could find and filmed them beforehand and then just like kind of like superimposed it on everything.
Yeah, it's literally candles. We are scraping the bottom of the budget barrel here.
I'm going to complain
ran
about
out
the
of money,
Walt
yeah.
Disney Corporation for a minute because I was at Galaxy's Edge last month and I went looking for the Life Day robes because I was going to get the Life Day robe and wear it for this stream. And they weren't selling them.
Yeah, they sold out. They sold
They
out.
sold
this year,
out.
too.
They sold out.
They sold out.
My
Steph,
goodness.
this
So
shit is
angry.
canon. I am seeing like images of the Wookiee family.
You don't need to convince me. I've believed you since the moment you asked me about the world between worlds. Yes, it's all canon. This shit is in
honestly,
Rebels.
When I made the
Yeah,
World
you're
Between
full of
Worlds
shit.
joke, I actually didn't take the possibility as seriously as you did when you told me to fuck off multiple times, and we quit. I believe we quit or for a fourth time that recording. That was a very emotional recording.
For those of you who are
but
drinking along with Harrison Ford longing for the sweet release of death, now is the time to start
keep
pouring.
chugging. Just chug at this point. Like, look at him.
Look at him. Hold on, we're going to get some close-ups.
Oh, wait.
Part of it is because there's like, I don't know what stage his relationship with Carrie Fisher is at right here, but it's weird.
They're...
And so-
that's the whole thing.
He's at the tolerating her presence stage is what I'm reading.
Yeah, but they have repeat.
Shut
Oh,
up,
wait.
Carrie Fisher is singing.
Y'all, this is my jam.
This is your jam?
Right I introduce you to music. It's a wonderful concept.
It's the fact that in,
I do love her,
many interviews, she will do this song at the drop of a dime. Like, she sings it out.
Drink.
It's beautiful. A drink. Girl, drink some water.
This is probably
Can we get a
the
wellness
best-
check on Jonathan?
I know.
This is probably the best demonstration that this is in fact Debbie Reynolds' daughter.
Yes. No.
Just because
Yeah.
this that she busted out this at the end of the special, and
Look, she's doing the
selling
best
it?
she can. The song itself is kind
She's
of meh.
selling it.
She's doing the best she can. She, from what I understand, she agreed to do this whole thing because she wanted to do a song.
She wanted a
She knew it was
song.
gonna. She got it's like it's a fucking variety show. My mom is my mom. I need to sing a fucking song, and here we are.
She has said in an interview, I think I was the only person in the entire project who knew I was going to get involved with. And I heard variety show Star Wars. I thought, well, that's going to be crap. Let me sing a song.
Amazing. Iconic.
She's
Yeah,
right.
I love Carrie Fisher.
I love her. Yeah. Anyway, this is where the
Her
cult
episode's
begins to
30
sacrifice
Yes,
the
yes.
the
Okay,
fire.
it's a cult. Just in case anybody
Oh.
was unclear, Life Day is a fucking cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. Look at it. It's a cult.
Better
It's also
than
a
the
really
Jedi.
like wonderful episode
kind
of
of.
Young Jedi Adventures because again, this is the foundation of all Star Wars television. To be petty.
I forgot they do a fucking clip show from Star
They do a
Wars.
clip. Well, again, because if you're a kid in 1978, this was the only other way to see any Star Wars if you're not going to a
Right.
movie theater.
But like, at what
like-
point did people stop watching the broadcast? Because that happened.
Apparently, a lot of people
A
stopped
lot
them.
of people after the first commercial.
It was
break.
fairly early, from what I understand.
Probably
It-
at the itchy scene.
If
Veer-
I'm recalling correctly, the Dark Side Divas episode covering this topic, a great deal of people left after the first commercial break. That it was a
great
huge
deal.
drop off because they turned on to something else and didn't come back.
So you see,
Something
Colton,
that-
back in the day when people watched television, they would pause the show from time to time. It's kind of like an unskippable ad on your YouTubes.
Wonderful
Wow.
news! You're about to get to experience this on streaming. Because
It's true.
certain shows that just premiered definitely had ad breaks. Because they're definitely gonna put ads on those streaming platforms now.
We're just jealous.
I am
Of his
deeply
youth?
jealous of
Nah.
the amount of money. Well, I was gonna say the amount of money that Bob Iger makes, but yes, also of Colton.
Are there
would
like
like
little
that.
bumps on top of the balls? Are these actually eggs? We're
They should-
circling right back around to my ovum theory.
If you have chat, if you have bumps on your balls, see a doctor.
That's not a festive Life Day decoration. That's actually a problem.
Well, that's what happens when you just let Itchy do whatever.
Or just see a doctor every few months, regardless.
Yeah, but no,
If you
that's
have
true.
the insurance, because
If you
you're
have the
American.
insurance, or
Yeah,
you're on PrEP, or
Assuming you're in the United
something.
States, if you're not in the United States and you're watching us and you're in a wet
Experiencing
Enjoy your
culture.
universal
Yeah.
health care,
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Anyway,
And let
so
us
I'm
all
looking at
bow
the
our
European
heads and
Union.
pray over the balls.
I've done that.
Well, it is now peaceful.
Good night, everybody.
All is good.
That's it.
And now you can see the names of the people that you can curse.
So I think now this is an excellent time to read my prepared list of the people I personally blame for the existence of this special.
Okay.
Philo Farnsworth, who invented the electronic television.
Wow.
Robert Madison, randomly for some reason.
I'm turning
United
this
States
off. I'm
President
not doing this.
Calvin Coolidge.
I'm stopping.
Greek playwright Aristophanes.
Why are we
George-
blaming a Greek playwright?
Because he is
No, I
the
get it,
father
I
of
get it.
comedy. So I blame
That's fair.
him partly for this existence.
We're going deep.
Look.
We're going deep on the bench.
I also
Something tells me
blame Burbank.
Aristophanes is also upset about this special.
Yes, he should be. He's partly responsible for it.
That's his punishment.
Why
in
are we
Tartarus,
getting
just
smart on
watching
this
this
show?
over and over again?
What's going on?
Charles
So I
brings
do-
the highbrow intellectual humor.
So I do want to be
Colton
briefly
brings us
serious.
balls.
You gotta have a
I
balance.
try.
There's gotta be balance in the force.
The Force craves balance.
I do want to say something in all sincerity and seriousness, real quick. On both of our podcasts, we've talked about how we don't like it when people diss things they love and all that kind of stuff. One thing that's been very eye-opening about me about doing this research, and also, again, the documentary, which I love, recommend, brings this up too.
It's really
If you're a kid in 1977 and you just see Star Wars, and the only other Star Wars you get to see, and I'm talking like 8, 9, 10-year-old kids,
Right.
basically, and they see this, they fucking love this. Like there
They
were
did.
a lot of kids that
Mhm.
loved this, and apparently there were kids singing Carrie Fisher's song, and more importantly, in my
amazing.
opinion, B. Arthur's song on the
Nice.
playgrounds, and like I have to be cognizant of that because there were
Well,
some
yeah.
people out there that loved it.
And it really,
So-
I think it all comes back to the Star Wars is for kids. It's always been for kids. Even this weird ass show that was clearly designed to also appeal to the adults in the room. It's for kids. See, that's my genius husband who just agreed with me.
I
Extremely
first saw
correct
this
statement.
probably in my early 30s, and after the confusion passed, I loved it. So what the fuck is wrong with me?
One of
Nothing.
the watershed moments for me as a Star Wars fan, just generally, was going to Galaxy's Edge. Now, I've always been somebody who liked the sequel films.
Mhm.
We're not going to get into that right now. We're just going to say I liked them.
I love them.
But going to Galaxy's Edge for the first time and getting to see the amount of kids dressed up as Rey, like little kids dressed up as Rey,
Mhm.
running around Galaxy's Edge, just broke my little heart. Because I was like, oh my God, all of these kids, particularly young girls, have somebody they can look
Mhm.
up to and somebody they can see in this media. And that's what they care about. They care about that they have somebody that's running around just like them with a lightsaber being awesome. And
Yep.
they want to dress like her. They want to go meet her. They are having this wonderful experience. Who gives a damn what neckbeards on Twitter say? It's not for them.
And
Right.
kids in
And that's why they're
1978
mad.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they're pissed, because it wasn't made for them.
As a 5-year-old, when I watched Revenge of the Sith in theaters, it was brilliant. It was my first Star Wars, and
Nice.
It's my second favorite now after Rogue One. But that's still there for me.
To clarify, you watched Revenge of the Sith when it was re-released into theaters? Not the original release?
No, the original.
Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, I was thinking of Jedi.
Yeah. Revenge of the Sith.
My
The one
God.
with,
My mind didn't want to
Spider-Man.
embrace your actual age.
He didn't.
Because again, this feels illegal. I feel like I shouldn't actually be allowed to talk to you without a parent present.
This is the person we keep bringing back for the Legends books, by the way. This is not any of the people who lived through
Are you
it.
sure you're not the
No.
reincarnation of somebody who did actually sit down and watch the Star Wars Holiday Special in the living room
okay.
as a child?
Here's the thing. My fibromyalgia makes me 40 years older than I actually am.
Fair.
So,
Fair.
there's a balance.
That's fair.
The Force craves balance.
The Force craves balance,
And
unfortunately.
balls.
And balls.
Bumpy balls.
Does anybody have any last thoughts about this before we lock off for the evening?
Every time we watch this, it goes by faster. So
It does. It felt really fast this time.
the
Yeah.
first time we watched it, it felt like 9 years. But no, it's always fun.
And
It's
that was
always
our
fun to revisit.
and Steph, that was our first 4-hour recording.
Oh my God. We were so tired. We had both quit so many times.
We had quit. Well, I also think another reason why it went by so fast because we had some awesome people joining us. That
true.
Everybody brought their own perspective. Hope, I love the fact that there was somebody that liked this that was able to make it easier for me to be like, I like this now, just because it is important to kind of keep things in context of the era. And I have to say, there are so many words and variety shows that exist in the 70s, especially. I think Star Wars Holiday Special gets a bad rap because it's out of context now, and it's a different time, and no, it's not the best, and even people who work on it will admit that, but there's some cool shit about it, and hey, Life Day is canon. At the end of the day, this thing is responsible for Life Day, it's responsible for animation. It is what it is. And I pray to God that we don't make the same mistake again.
John Favreau wishes to make a Life Day, a Christmas special of his own. He's actually been on record saying that.
I'm down.
And he actually, it was the D23 summit, the week that The Mandalorian first aired. He said that he already had an idea of who he would want Life Day to be about. And at the time, this was on a brand new streaming service called Disney Plus. No one knew if it would even exist. Nobody even knew if there would be a season 2. So breaking everything down, if you do break down all the characters in season 1, I am absolutely here for a Christmas special starring Pelimoto.
Awesome.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
It would.
Yeah, I 100%.
Because it would be a Mandalorian character, according to Jon Favreau, from that D23 summit.
I mean, Disney's already made. I mean, I should say Marvel made the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas or whatever that was holiday thing, and that shit was genius. And
It was brilliant.
I could see them doing something similar with Star Wars.
I think the closing thought that I have thinking about this experience this year, because I have done this before, I have been in the chat, which, side note, I hope Chad enjoyed my facial expressions during this one, because that's what was missing last time. But I think for me, the number one takeaway is this was really fun. And I feel like Star Wars fans generally as a group, we need to occasionally remember to have fun.
Right.
Fun is nice. Fun is why we're in these things. It's complex media. It deals with a lot of complex themes. There's a lot of discussions that you can have about the politics in Star Wars and the stuff that it's saying. But at the end of the day, we should be here to have fun with people we like, enjoying this piece of media for what it is. And
Amen.
I think that's something that's worth considering, and I am very glad to have done this experience with all of you.
Awesome.
Aw, that's the smartest thing you've ever said.
Thank you. I won't ruin it by continuing to talk.
Thank you,
know.
Charles.
Agreed.
I really appreciate your talk.
No, that's not what his voice sounds like. It's much more like this. I think that Star Wars is supposed to be fun, Christopher.
It is supposed to be fun, Christopher.
Oh my god.
Okay. No, I agree 100%. You're right. And I think the Star Wars Holiday Special is a really good touchstone. Just hit it once a year and be like, see, that shit's ridiculous. Amazing. Let's get back to the Star Wars. It's good stuff.
I pray. I pray that is true. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Colton, Charles, Hope. I love you all. You're amazing as per usual. If you would like to hear the four of us and some other two people that are equally awesome interact with each other, we have a podcast called For Light and Dice. It is a tabletop role-playing Star Wars: The High Republic inspired podcast. It is right now high drama, but it's also a lot of fun. Would recommend you check it out. It's probably one of the coolest projects I've ever done, and you can find the podcast on any podcast platform of your choice. And for this channel, Dark Side Divas, Marvelous Divas, you can find both podcasts as well on any podcast of your choosing. And Steph, was there anything else I was supposed to promote that
you can go on with the social media and all of that stuff if you want.
Oh,
and
I
also...
don't do that. That's not for me.
No, but you're already doing the outro, and I'm not about to slow your roll. Go ahead.
Can't Charles do it on command?
No, he does it wrong.
I do it wrong?
If you would like to tune in to Dark Side Divas, you can find it anywhere you find podcasts. If you want to hang out with us in between episodes, you totally can. We are on Facebook, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and TikTok as @DarkSideDivas. There.
They also have a
Ta-da.
YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. Patreon.
That's
that you can
all.
subscribe
That's all
to.
Chris's thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm stepping on that. I'm taking his section.
Carry on.
A Patreon you could join for as little as $5 a month.
Patreon.com/ what is
Divas
it?
Podcast.
I don't listen when you talk. Divas Podcast.
Divas Podcast.
That must be what it is. All right.
I'm gonna throw myself off a damn bridge.
Film it. Put it on TikTok.
Yeah, as
Use
long
it
as
a
there's a
promo.
Wilhelm scream in there, it's brandable.
Then you're on topic. Good job.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Colton, Hope, Charles, thank you so much. Steph, you survived yet another year of this show, and I dare say it's a great annual tradition now. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. And Steph is like, no. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see y'all later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.